Change is always happening. It's part of life. Here at Xfinity, we want to do our part to keep one thing the same, with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. So no matter how your other costs change, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi, with our best equipment included, for a price that stays exactly the same.
Dion Closo with Preps KC here in the Preps KC studio, powered by Xfinity Internet. Count on a reliable connection for all your devices, even when everyone's online. All right, we kick off the Crossroads Conference Virtual Media Day with Pembroke Hill, with Sam Kanopic from Pembroke Hill, and Coach, first year in the league. Can't ask for anything better than what you did.
Well, right. That kind of timed up pretty good, but
a lot of expectations now.
Well, and it, as we talked about last year, you play all those guys all these years, right? And I know we weren't necessarily in the league with everybody, but I know all those guys, and I know their ups and their downs, and they know our ups and our downs, and that's just kind of the way it went that first year. We had a good group of boys, and they showed up and competed for sure.
Well, you bring a good group back. I mean, you got 6 on each side of the ball, and how's the offseason gone with the guys you bring it back, and then some guys you're going to have to step up and fill those roles?
Right. So the big story, at least on our campus, right, within our community, is that we've graduated 14 guys off of a really competitive team, and then the challenge that is for us and for everybody, but especially for us, all the years I've been there, is putting good size classes back to back, or another way of saying it, avoiding small classes back to back, right? And so we graduated 14, but we've only got 3 coming up into the senior class, and so right off the bat, that's a pretty unique challenge. The interesting part about those numbers, though, are our overall roster size doesn't seem to be changing. We never know until the last minute what we're going to have, but we're still hovering right in there where we always have, plus or minus 41, 42 kids, which is what we've always been. So even with the 3 seniors, we're excited about what we have coming back, and in preparing for this interview, I'm going through, okay, how many starters we got coming back. I know that's always your first question, and it's 6, and I was kind of surprised by that, knowing how many guys that we lost. But yeah, we've got some players with some experience coming back, and we got guys that obviously are going to be moving into some starting roles that we're excited about too.
Well, graduating that 14 and only having 3 seniors, I would assume, that group going last year, your depth was pretty good. Is that kind of one of the big challenges right now, is developing that depth behind those guys who are going to be
that's
starting?
always a challenge, and I don't think it was any better last year. I mean, I know we had more guys, but I mean, yeah, so for example, we went into a game last year where our starting quarterback, who ended up being, an all-conference player for us, he was injured for a game, and we had a freshman come in to start that game, and it had some freshman liabilities wrapped in there, and we ended up winning that game, and he played a good game, obviously, and all that, but so depth is always a challenge, and it will be a challenge this year too. But you get to your 11, 12, 13, I'll even some years say 15 deep. I like our 15, and our younger, and the kids outside of that, we need to give them some more time. Week matters. Every week matters. So
offensively, what have you seen that you liked this summer?
Okay, so our offensive line coming back. We've got 4 guys coming back from last year's offensive line. Jack Waller's a senior. Malik Razada is a senior. And I'm gonna tell you a quick story about Malik. So we ran a double tight set at the beginning of the season last year. Braden James, who went on, he's going to Columbia, probably reports this week, actually, out in New York. And Malik was our second tight end. Well, week 2 or 3, early in the season, lineman goes down the middle of the game, and we changed Malik's jersey so he could play that tackle position. And bless his heart, he never moved back to tight end. And but he's a typical Pembroke Hill lineman tight end, in the sense that, like, he's on our 200-meter relay team.
Yeah.
Right? And the dude's an athlete, and as is Jack Wallard, who got promoted from fullback to center a couple years ago. Jonathan Beaver would be a fullback for us, but he's going to be returns to his spot at guard. Oliver Nelson's a returning starter, junior on the offensive line. Uh, who's probably on paper really a lineman, right? I mean, but all those other guys, they would, um, they came to us from other position groups. So we're going to start the season with moving Malik back to a Y position, and but we're going to still throw him in here on this lineman category just because he's earned it. So we're excited about him. Our skill position players. We're excited about. We graduated a heck of a group of skill position players from last year. Conference Player of the Year, Josiah Steiger, Josh Stahl was our quarterback. All those guys were great. I already mentioned Braden James, Xavier May is going to play sprint ball actually up at Penn, which is kind of fun. But the skill guys we've got coming back in really kind of emerged on the defensive side last year. Giles Kearns, who really would identify as a receiver, ended up starting as a corner for us. Obviously started at split end for us last year too, but on the defensive side of the ball, Giles at corner, Elijah Inslee started at corner. He also rotated in for us as a slot. Braden Shelley was a freshman last year, but ended up really kind of being an impact player first and foremost as a defensive back. He was that freshman quarterback. Sid came in that game, kind of got us through an injury game off the bench. He ended up being an all-conference and all-state kick returner, set the school record for kick returns last year as a freshman. And part of that, I think, was they didn't want to kick to Josiah, so they kicked to Shelley, and he housed a bunch of them. Gaines Trigg, who is also one of our quarterbacks, played a lot of defensive back last year. So we're excited about our skill position kids who got a lot of experience defensively. They got a lot of experience offensively. Shelley and Gaines are going to be battling it out for that quarterback spot that, all spring and summer they've been, and they both have their attributes. And so for a school our size to have true iron sharpens iron competition, we talked about this at the end of June, or excuse me, at the end of July as we finished up our camp last week, was that really encouraging those kids to embrace the competition because unfortunately at a school that is as small as ours, we don't get authentic competition year to year. And I bragged on Giles Kearns because he's also a kicker for us. And dude is strong. He's a strong kicker. But we had an upperclassman kicker also on the roster last year. And to see those two guys compete, Andrew Notberg last year with Giles, and they would compete, and each had their strengths and each had their liabilities. And week to week, when we'd keep score, and depending on how they did on a weekly basis, we let them kick on Friday night, and it made both of them better kickers. And so I reminded them of that, and then pointing to obviously some position groups where we've got competition this year, quarterback being the loudest. So we're excited about that.
Defensively, you rattle off a lot of guys coming back in that defensive backfield. That's got to make you feel good because that's a group that if you're putting new people in, they can show up real quick.
Yeah. And so, we've got a nice base of guys there, and they're intelligent guys, and they're moving into upperclassmen, or they're going to be juniors. But our front seven, pretty solid too. Same group of guys. I mean, Jack Wallard's been a starting linebacker since freshman year at the Mike. Oliver Nelson is just a horse there at a interior line spot. Malik's been playing defensive end for us for a couple of years. So, again, going back to our point about your first 11, 12, 13, 14, right? We feel good about those guys, even if there aren't as many 18-year-olds on the field as there were last year.
Well, Coach, should be a fantastic season. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking time with us.
Thanks, Dion. Appreciate you guys.
Dion Clisso with Preps KC here as we move through the virtual media day for the Crossroads Conference, and we're joined by St. Michael's new coach, Mark Bliss. And Coach, welcome back to the Kansas City area. And you've been here before in Odessa, and you're back home, I guess, now because you have family that lives here. How excited are you to be at St. Michael's?
Well, I tell you what, my thing is that I always wanted to coach at a Catholic high school before I officially hung it up for good. And I've had one other option in my career where that could have possibly happened, but I chose the public school route. And then when we finished up our retirement in the state of Iowa to move back here to Kansas City to be around our three of our four daughters and our grandkids, I just couldn't sit around and do nothing. So I just was sticking my nose into things, and the St. Michael job happened to pop up, and so I looked at it, and they got back with me, and I went and interviewed for it along with whoever else they interviewed. But I was fortunate enough for they offered me the job, and it's been a great experience so far. Kids have done an incredible job this summer with our summer pride workouts and attendance and effort. And when we maxed out, how many kids went up? I mean, it was a phenomenal summer, and hopefully that'll carry over on the Friday nights.
Well, you come in with a group that's you got a good amount of starters back on offense, including most of your skill, most of your offensive line. So
That's
that has to
true.
make you feel pretty good.
Oh,
Got
absolutely.
got five back on defense. With that experience coming in, how much? How much? I know there's got to be changes, and there's probably some learning curve going on. How's that going on? Let's start on the offensive side, Rick.
Well, here's the amazing thing is that in any job I've ever taken, usually there's a process, when you install and do certain things. These kids are so far ahead of the curve. And I attribute that to their football IQ, but also their academic IQ. These kids have embraced it, and I run a unique offense, with the old single wing and some of the twin stuff that we do. That's basically some of the Gus Malzahn stuff, and some of our spread, and we just call it the trifecta offense. And these kids have embraced it and done a phenomenal job, and we've put more in out of the playbook with this team than any place I've ever been in a first year of the job. So it's a testament to them and their eagerness to want to learn and want to win and compete. And so yeah, we got nine back on O, and all those kids are experienced, and that's a huge thing that going into a new season and stuff with the new team as the new head coach. And I've leaned on them a lot, and they've leaned on me a lot, and we found ways to get through it, and have had a great summer. And the kids are running the offense as smooth as any place I've been for a year one, and haven't even played a game yet. I'm just impressed. And like I said, we were able to scrimmage Raytown South, the Friday before we started break, and kids did an outstanding job, on both sides of the ball. And so like I said, we're slowly putting those pieces of the puzzle together, and hopefully by the time we get to Summit Christian, we'll be in position to be able to compete with them.
Defensively, what do you like on that side right now?
Defensively on that side of the ball, like I said, we got the Tolado kid. That's our running back that's back from last year, and but he's also a rush in for them on the defensive side of the ball, and got some new faces. But we still got some of the D linemen that were back from last year as well. With the knee wall kid and some of the other kids that played a lot last year on the D line, and some of the linebackers that they got coming back. In the secondary, they got Max Thomas back at corner, and the Wilson kid. That's back at corner as well. So they've got both corners back, and they've got one linebacker back, and then like I said, in the front four they got two of them back. So they've got five and a. You call it five and a half. They had one of the kids that sort of went down last year, and the kid played the last four games of the season. So they got five kids, solid kids back on defense, and then like I said, the main two-way players is the Tolado kid, and then Max Thomas is our five-star kicker we got. He's a kid that he definitely gives you an advantage in the kicking game as both as a kicker and a punter. Very impressed with him, and didn't know until Jamie Cole out of Cole's kicking camp reached out to me and just said, "Hey, I heard you just took the job." And he goes, "This Thomas kid's a pretty special player," and we just bumped him up to a five-star. And so Max is, matter of fact, we did some kicking game stuff today, and when he's kicking it through the end zone, then you got a shot at making sure that your opponent starts on the 20 all the time. So,
That's such a huge weapon. I don't think that
oh,
people think about, especially in high school football.
yeah, it's hidden yardage. I speak on it all the time to our kids. Hidden yardage is what you can get out of the return game, but what you can limit, in the kicking game, and knowing that your opponent's going to start at the 20 all the time, that's not a bad thing. Make them have to earn going 80. So, yeah, he's like I said, he's back. He's a special kid, and we got Gabe Burgess back at quarterback that started for him last year, and just very, he's got a great football IQ, and very inquisitive, and ask questions all the time, and we've gone to our no huddle stuff, and he's embraced it, and he understands all the little nuances we want done, and puts the kids in the right place, and we're clicking. Like I said, we went straight no huddle and stuff against Raytown. The kids did like I said, they They look good. So I told our coaches when it was done, of course, you always find mistakes on film when you break it down, but they're all correctable mistakes. But when it was all said and done, we were very content with what we came away with and what we learned, and it was a great learning tool for us, as a staff and trying to develop who we thought were going to be potential starters and for sure, depth. At our level, being a 3A high school, I've been a guy. What's nuts is I started a 3A school. And then the last 26 years, I've been, at 5A and 6A and 7A schools. And then I come back to a small school, and holy cows, there are difference. Instead of having 170 kids out for football, we got 70 kids out for football. So it's a distinct difference. And trying to adjust and learn back to that small school mentality and knowing that you're probably going to have some kids play both ways. And then you're trying to figure out that formula about where you're going to rest them out on offense or defense, and then try to figure out where your depth lies. And I mean, there's a lot of those little things that you tie into your decisions, and hopefully we can make the right ones and give them a chance to have a good year.
Well, I know you added to the staff, so the staff is bigger than what you had before. But do you have some guys who've got a little knowledge of your schedule that to help you along there as well?
We do. The thing is, what I'm blessed about is that Jim Giacaris, that used to be at Bishop Miege, he was there for like 24, 25 years, was D coordinator on 7 of their state championship teams. So he's my D coordinator. He's 67 and I'm 61. So we're the two old guys on staff. And we talk about old movies and old songs that none of our younger coaches have a clue, and our kids for sure don't have a clue what we're talking about. Only he and I sort of have that, have that knowledge of those things. But he's a guy that gives me a lot of insight and stuff because he knows I haven't been in the Kansas City area for 18 years. So he's one of those guys that's just great to lean on. And then some of the other coaches on staff that have been at Fort Osage and been at Park Hill South, and some of the guys I was able to bring over to be on our staff, they've got some insight and some, they got a little advice on certain things. So they're sort of helping me through it. And because, like I said, it is, the landscape has changed a lot since I coached here last when I was a head coach at Odessa. So it's definitely different, but along the same lines as well, is that I'm just excited to be here. And to be honest with you, I don't think I could have found a better place to be to finish my career out, and just I'm having fun, and that's, like I told our players all the time, if it ain't fun, I don't do it. But now I'm having fun, and I think our kids are having fun as well. I've gotten a lot of feedback from parents, and so it means a lot to me that they've bought in and they're doing what we asked them to. Because I'll be honest, we work them pretty hard, and some of them days when they walk away, when they're done with practice, I go, hey, I just hope I see some of those kids show up tomorrow, and they still kept coming back. So, but no, like I said, we're blessed and just excited about our season.
Well, Coach, should be a fantastic year. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking time with us.
Hey, you bet. Dion, God bless you, brother. Great to see you again and hear from you again. And a long time no see, but hopefully we'll be able to connect a lot more.
Dion Closo from Preps KC here in the Preps KC studio, powered by Xfinity Internet. With speeds faster than the gig, you can power a house full of connected devices all at once. All right, as we move along here in the virtual media day in the Crossroads Conference, we go to Summit Christian Academy coach Justin Geiger. And Coach, graduated a lot of good players last year, and you got a lot of, not that many coming back.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunity out there this year for guys on your team. And how they doing with that opportunity in the offseason?
From our practices that we've had so far, I think for a lot of the younger guys, they're maximizing opportunities. Been fairly competitive all throughout the summer. As you mentioned, we graduated 16 from last year, many of whom were all conference, all district players. And so we've got some shoes to fill, but fortunately we have some young guys who have had some experience. And so we're counting on those guys to lead us forward.
When you go through an offseason with a lot of younger players are going to have to step up. What do you focus on, during the school year that you want to get them in a position to be ready to do what you want to do in the summer, which is a lot of installs and things like that?
Right. Well, just getting them ready physically. We're very, very big on development, so that physical piece has to take precedent. Building them up in the weight room, on speed and agility in the off season, but also obviously the mental preparation that needs to be accounted for playing the game of football, getting them caught up to speed on our schemes and what their expectations are on the field.
Excuse me. Offensively, is there one position group that's really this summer taking a big step forward?
As a collective, I'm really happy with the direction that we've gone with our offense. The running back room is pretty deep right now. We're pretty excited about adding some pieces to that. Pretty solid at the quarterback spot as well, and then our receiving core has also been pretty impressive as well.
Defensively, what do you like over there?
I like our linebacker group. I really do. We're led by some really, really young, outstanding leaders who are physical, like to get after the ball, and really have, for their age, has really good understanding of our defensive schemes.
When you look at special teams, how much of that work do you get in the summer, or does that something maybe you focus on in the fall? Do you get some of that work in to, see where your kickers are at, where your return team and your snap and that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah. We incorporate that into virtually every practice we had out all throughout the summer, whether it's, even as much of a 10-minute period is pretty helpful for us, pretty productive for us. So we're excited about our kicker. We're borrowing him from the soccer team, but he just does an outstanding job for us. And like I said, we kind of have him, we leased him from the soccer team right now, but anytime, any opportunity he's had to come to practice, he's been out there with us in the summer.
Well, your schedule, the conference was solid before last year. Pembroke Hill comes in. How does that help you as a team, knowing that you've got good games every week?
Well, it presents a challenge for us, obviously, but we're excited. Again, I'm kind of the week one mentality right now. I haven't looked beyond that week one game, and so beyond that, though, we're pretty excited about the schedule we have.
Well, coach, it should be a fantastic season. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking time with us.
Thank you very much.
Dion Clisso here with Preps KC from the Preps KC studio, powered by Xfinity Internet, the fastest internet with multi-gig speeds to the most homes. As we move along here in our virtual media day in the Crossroads Conference, we move on to University Academy and partnered with the Ewing Marion Kaufman School to make sure that you check Coach Andrew Blakemore's hat there that shows the co-op.
Yeah.
And this is we're talking off air about this. This is the fourth year that you co-opted with the Kaufman School, and that really kind of means you guys are kind of officially joined, as you got a whole full group of guys that have all gone through. Just right off the bat, what's that mean for your program now that you've gone through that change and that transition to where you are now?
Yeah, Deanna, always appreciate you having us out here. Always great to catch up in the summer. Like you said, it's the first year where we've had freshmen go all the way through the co-op, and it's just every year's been a growing process for us for the positive. And we've worked out a lot of those kinks, being at two different campuses. And I think that both schools are finding a good groove and seeing how important football is and how great this program can be with us being together. That's the third pillar of our program. We got three pillars. We talk about be meticulous with the details of everything, be positive, trying to overcome adversity, and be together, because we deal with things that other programs don't. And so getting these kids to be together as much as we have these last 4 years, and we're starting the co-op in the middle school. We're going to have the opportunity to have kids be together for 6 years now moving forward. And so it continues to become something that's getting brighter and brighter.
You've been at University of Academy as an assistant and now as a head coach.
Yeah.
And as a smaller charter school, it'd be a cyclical thing. You'd have good groups that would come through and they would build. They'd play a lot for you. And by the time they were seniors, you had some really good teams. And then you kind of have to rebuild again. With the co-op, does that kind of smooth things out a little more for you? I mean, I know you're still small. It's not like you're playing Class 6 football, but is that that depth, is that helping to build that depth, especially now 4 years into the program?
Yeah. So, UA is a Class 1 school, and Kaufman traditionally is a Class 2 school. And so together we're Class 3. The greatest thing is, having numbers, having competition in practice. We're not promising starting positions to seniors, and that's a thing that we haven't been able to fully do in the past. We've got sophomores and juniors that are competing for starting jobs, in which in the past it would have to go to a senior just because they were usually a little bit more advanced than some of our younger kids. And what's nice is we're starting to see leadership come from both sides of both schools. Our captains are spread across both schools, and we've got three of our strong captains coming back this year. And so it definitely helps where we can create that next man up mentality.
Offensively, you bring a good group back over there. What do you like about what they've done in the offseason as you're getting ready to start fall practice here in a couple days?
Yeah, I'm really digging in with the offensive line this year. It's kind of been something that I've been taking a lot of pride in the last few years of brushing myself up on it, and when I'm attending those Glazier clinics and clinics around the area. And so I feel good about our O line. We're really developing camaraderie there, and the brotherhood of being in the O line, and so getting those trenches right. I mean, we saw what happened with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. If you can't be right up front, it's going to be hard to let your skills shine. So, and brought in another offensive line coach who played up at Northwest Missouri State, and so he's been extremely helpful with showing our guys what drills look like and what it looks like to be an elite offensive lineman. And so, really, really tapping in there. We've got a great running back room, really level-headed young quarterback coming back that we're excited to let him pitch the ball around. And so offensively, we're feeling like we're going to be a better offensive unit this year.
Defensively, you got good returners at each level, but you look at that defensive line, you got four guys coming back who started in that right.
Yes.
I hope you sleep at night.
No, it very much does. I mean, our defense with Coach Daniels last year, they kept us alive in a lot of games. And I don't like to make excuses or anything, but we lost 5 games there in the middle of the season by a combined 18 points. So we were in all those games, and we really feel like if we can, eliminate some mental errors or some turnovers here and there, we can flip some of those games from losses to wins this year, because we know our defense is going to keep us in games. Like you said, we got 4 studs coming back on the defensive line. We love our linebacking core with Caleb Barber and Giovanni Atkins. One of our captains, Julian Wilson, coming back. He's a headhunter, to put it lightly, at safety. And so we were very excited about our defense and all the returners.
Well, you saw the addition of Pembroke Hill made your league that much stronger last year.
Yeah.
Should be a great league run. You got another great schedule again this year. What do you like about your schedule? You open up week 1 with a tough game, and it doesn't really get any easier from there, but it probably allows you just to focus on the week in front of you.
It does. Major credit to Sam and Pembroke last year. They had a phenomenal season. And they obviously added a lot of positivity to the Crossroads Conference. But every week in the Crossroads Conference, it's a tough game. All those guys, all those programs bring great discipline, toughness. They prepare us big time for the playoffs when we get in there. Some of them being in our district, some of them not. And we love our schedule. We really do. When I took over the program, I wanted to try to make it tougher, try to make us more battle tested. Super excited about opening with Lincoln Prep, and then week 2 with KIPP. 2 great programs in the city. And so, given the people in the Kansas City metro, they're probably going to know a lot of each other. These kids grew up together. And so it's great to see them get a chance to play hard and play with some of their friends they grew up with. And, I got great respect for Coach Foster and Coach Suplee over there, and, just excited to have great games and, let our boys have some fun. But yeah, great schedule. We're really excited about it.
Well, Coach, should be a fantastic season. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking time with us.
Hey, appreciate it, Dion. Thank you.
Dion Closo with Preps KC here in the Preps KC studio, powered by Xfinity Internet. Fastest internet with multi-gig speeds to the most homes. As we close out the Crossroads Virtual Media Day, we are joined by Rashad Bird from Van Horn. And Coach Bird, time flies. This
Yes.
is your fifth season. It's like, it feels like Coach Harris just went over to right down south, and
Yeah.
but no, your fifth year in, and you were with the program before, so there wasn't as much as you coming into a new building. This is your second group that's gone through with you guys, and last year 7-4. Some up and down moments, but a pretty solid season all the way around, and got a playoff win against Excelsior Springs. And what do you like about this group you've got coming back?
Well, first off, it's funny you talked about year five because I was talking to one of my players. One of my assistant had to remind me that this is year five because yeah, it went fast. I'm like, man, I thought I was working on four here, five. But this group, we got a lot of good kids, a lot of kids who've played a lot of football, a lot of kids who took reps as freshmen who are seniors now. Guys who have played varsity football that kind of understand. Our productivity of what we're trying to do, who we are. And so, going through practice these first couple of days, been really exciting. The energy has been up. Those seniors have been leading, and I tell them every day, and I told them yesterday, this is your last first day of high school football. It's not your first day, it's your last first day. And I told them today, this is your last second day of high school football. So, we're going to go as those seniors go. And so, you know, again, a lot of great talent, a lot of great talent in our underclassmen. We played a lot of sophomores last year. And so I think that's going to propel us this year to kind of get over the hurdle, the hump that we kind of been stuck on. We watch a lot of film. And so, the things that we talk about is us stopping ourselves. And we're going to be our biggest challenge in every match. We have a lot of great athletes. We just have to execute better.
Well, you bring back 7 on both sides of the ball, but missing 3 offensive linemen and a quarterback on the offensive side. Those are some key spots. First, how's the offensive line going? I mean, you got some bodies in there. You feel like that's coming together?
Absolutely. Even though we lost 3, there was 1 or 2 that got some decent snaps last year, kind of seeing the future, kind of understanding, dealing with injuries here and there. And so those guys were able to get some snaps, knowing that we're going to have to replace some offensive linemen last year. I kind of put some guys in some different formation at tight end just to allow them to get some varsity reps, allow them to let them feel what that offensive line feel like as far as working with their hand in the dirt on the line of scrimmage. It is tough replacing 3 guys. I think our offensive line has done a great job. Again, we still have some underclassmen who are older, some juniors, also a senior who will be filling in those spots. They've had a great summer, 100% attendance from those guys. And so, they've really been putting in work. And so, we have that flexibility of even moving guys around from tackle to guard to center. We make sure that we have the right combination of guys in on that line. Quarterback, always tough. I thought Christian did a great job last year for us. Sometime I didn't appreciate enough the athlete he was when you go back and watch film on him. But Brody been doing a really great job this summer. I tell people all the time because I keep my cards to my chest. That quarterback competition last year was closer than what people thought. Even through the jamboree last year, I thought that was going to be my deciding factor on who's going to be the starting quarterback. They both threw 3 touchdowns in the jamboree. Like, no one kind of stepped above. Christian was a little bit more athletic. And so, that kind of gave him that push in what we were doing offensively. We changed some things around offensively this year, kind of fit Brody style. He's athletic enough for us, not quite as athletic as what Christian was, and that's okay. But he does some great things. He do a great job. He understands the offense. Because before Christian started, Brody had more varsity experience than Christian did because Brody started his entire sophomore year where Christian started half of his sophomore year. So he kind of had that one up on him. And so he does a great job. We got actually a really, really good freshman quarterback who's in right now. He's been doing a really amazing job. I don't think he's varsity ready yet. There'll be moments and instances where I let him get some snaps in a varsity game, but he does a great job. He really learning the offense, even keel kind of kid, and so I'm excited about the future on our offense. All of our running back were underclassmen, and all of those running back. I talked to my running back coach today. You got a running back group. I think today he counted 8 running backs, and
Oh,
all of them
wow.
are classmen. Nobody's a senior, and so I'm excited about those guys. Those guys played a lot of football as well, and so I think offensively we'll be able to continue kind of some of the success that we've had last year.
Defensively, what are you seeing, and what do you got to replace over there?
Defense has been, I love our defense, man. They're fast. The leader in the middle of that defense is Bennett Only Myers. He was a third team All-Stater this year as a sophomore. He really, really, really high IQ football player. Just understands what you're doing offensively and kind of get the defense lined up. And then we finally get Dominic Page back off of injury the past 2 years. Unfortunately, his sophomore year tore his ACL halfway through the season, and then 3 days into last year's summer, fractured his ankle. So he missed the last 2 years, and just having that vocal leadership from that freshman or from that senior, where his most significant time was as a freshman, where I think he had 4 or 5 interceptions as a freshman when he started for us. Great tackler, obviously. He was a guy who went to state for wrestling this year.
Yeah.
So he just brings that grit to defense, and those guys are fast. Those guys are very, very fast on defense. We got a lot of athletes. So those guys, they move around, and so practice is really, really fun. It's that chess match between me and Coach Gibson over there. But those guys, I'm excited to see them. Was able to scrimmage a little bit this summer, and I was very, very pleased with what I saw defensively. Those guys flying around, getting to that football and just wreaking havoc. So, I want us to get back to a couple of years ago where we had a couple of guys where we only averaged giving up 7 points per game
Yeah.
by the end of that season. And, I think those guys have the ability to get to that point.
Your schedule's basically the same from last year, just flipped,
Mhm.
with the exception of week 1. East was going back to JV. What do you do with that week 1 open? And you've
You
been
know,
in that spot a couple times, I think.
Yeah. We're really trying to be creative. We're coming up with some ideas what to do to kind of get our families and really involved, our fans. Just trying to do something with the team and showcase who the team is. Take them through what a Friday night is going to look like because I always like to make sure those guys who are new to the program, freshmen, maybe first year players, this is how Friday night operates. This is what we do. We're trying to be creative with what we do, but just make sure we keep that excitement because, we're going to have some guys who played a lot of football who understands that, hey, we should be playing a game right now, I can tell emotions are going to be running high. And so, we just want to make sure that excitement is there, that they understand that, we always talk about opportunities and don't take these things for granted because just like this week 1, you never know. Week 5 might pull out. You don't know. And so, you don't take these moments for granted. You work hard and you give everything you got. So, we're being creative. We're going to work something out that I think is going to be excited for the kids, excited for the families, to just make sure that, we understand that, yeah, we don't have an opponent, but, give us a chance to display those guys in front of them.
Well, Coach, should be a fantastic season. Good luck, and we appreciate you taking time with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.